Hey, Matt Noren at the Community Workbench. I proudly sponsor the Community Workbench and everything that it represents for local entrepreneurs. And speaking of which, I am a local entrepreneur. I am a realtor with Remax Bell Park in Hayville, Connecticut. Fully licensed in Connecticut to do commercial, rentals, and residential. I absolutely love my job, love working with clients. So if you are in any need for a realtor, please give me a call 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. Welcome to the Community Workbench. This is Matt Noren and Kyle Morrissey. We are your hosts of the number one podcast in my basement. At the bench, we try to repair the sense of community. So every week, we bring you small businesses, entrepreneurs, community leaders, charities, and pretty much whoever we feel like talking to. And today we have the pleasure of talking with some gentlemen from the Danielson Veterans Coffeehouse. Welcome, President Fred Ruhlemann and Vice President Bruce Hay. How are you guys?
Doing fine, thank you.
First things first, thank you for your service. Super honored to have you guys here today. The Danielson Veterans Coffeehouse. How did that get started? Who wants to take that one?
That, that, that started in 2015. We are in our 10th year of existence. We were the first Veterans Coffee House in Connecticut. And believe it or not, it was started by, depending on who you talk to, either 23 veterans or 26 veterans sat down one day and decided we needed to do something for veterans.
Yeah,
And the coffee house was created.
nice.
When it started, it was in the basement of Broad Street, the school over on Broad Street in Killingly. And that got very quickly too small, so it moved up to the second floor for a room that was supposed to hold 52 people. By the time the pandemic came, we were jamming 70 people into that room.
Wow.
And when we first started, it was supposed to meet every other week. That lasted about 2 weeks, and then the veterans wanted it to be every week.
Yeah.
And when the pandemic came, the town of Killingly said we could only put 26 people in that room, that we were
Wow.
jamming 70 instead of 50. So that's forced us to move.
Yeah.
And we moved to where we are on Edmund Street, Putnam Lodge of Elks, 574,
Gotcha.
because they got plenty of room. But
Yeah.
we're quickly filling that space too. The last couple of Tuesdays, we've had 100 veterans there every Tuesday morning.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's great. And that's everybody gets free breakfast is
free
my
breakfast.
understanding.
Yep. The first Tuesday of the month, we have a guy from the Rhode Island VA comes with a laptop, and if somebody's in the Rhode Island VA system and they need help either with following up on their claim, starting a new claim, whatever, he can do that day. If somebody's new to the coffee house and they want to get in the VA system, he can get them in that day.
Okay.
And that's a big deal because getting into the VA can be it's a nightmare. It's a typical bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Once you're in, the people you deal with are good doctors and nurses and stuff, but getting in by yourself can be a problem.
Yeah.
And then on the last Tuesday of the month, we have somebody that comes from Connecticut VA and does the same thing for veterans that are members of Connecticut VA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we provide a lot of services besides the hot breakfast,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
So,
So I have a couple of family members that are there
yes, volunteers that
every
help
week,
out.
and that just sparks conversation. If you're out there and you want to volunteer, and it sounds like a very good time cooking breakfast with all of you guys.
There are usually 3, sometimes 4 members of that Elks Lodge, Putnam Lodge of Elks,
Yeah.
that cook the breakfast.
Okay.
And originally the coffee house, out of our budget, we paid for the food.
Yeah.
Then we created this program where local businesses or individuals can sponsor
Oh,
a
nice.
breakfast for the veterans, which I have some forms in my truck if you're interested. um, it costs $200 to sponsor a breakfast.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
you think about the price of eggs.
Right.
Yeah.
Two eggs.
Oh, yeah.
2 eggs for 100 veterans.
Mm.
Yeah.
You blow through $200 in no time
Right,
flat.
right,
And then we
yeah.
got coffee and all the
Yeah. Bacon,
stuff that goes.
sausage.
Yeah, all that
stuff.
goes
Yep.
with it. So it's $200 for one breakfast, $550 for three, and if you want to do one breakfast a month for a whole year, it's $1,500
Oh,
for
wow.
12. And we haven't personally paid for a breakfast now in probably 2 years.
Wow.
The businesses, people volunteer all the
Yeah.
time. We get, we've had several people sponsor a breakfast. They lost their wife or something. They do it in honor of their family
Oh,
member.
yeah. Yeah.
But we have businesses that write a check for $1,500.
Yeah. Wow.
They,
That's great.
when the Vietnam era guys, I was there. He was an era veteran. The public hated us. It's nice to be a veteran right now. It's
Right,
turned
right.
around.
Yeah,
People appreciate what the veterans do. It's not unusual to have somebody come up to you and say thank you for your service.
For sure. Yeah.
They threw rocks at us in the
Oh,
60s.
man.
It was a whole different episode.
That makes me just my blood curdling.
Oh,
uh,
there were guys, depending on when you came home, there were guys that were told to pack civvies and not to appear in the airport in uniform
Right,
because you would be a
wow.
target.
yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It really was. And it was, the country was so divided.
Yeah. Wow.
It was bad.
On the ship I was on, we went somewhere. They told us we had to bring civilian clothes because we were not allowed to wear our uniform off the ship.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. I remember first grade, we were coloring yellow ribbons to put in the windows for Desert Storm. And that was the whole thing, support the troops, support the
Yeah.
troops. They were turning that culture around,
Yeah.
that whole thing. And I'm glad it has. I mean,
Yeah,
this
oh, yeah.
is
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm glad we're looking at it the right way now. And,
Yeah.
and
And
respect.
we get involved in a lot of not political things, but a lot of issues for veterans.
Right.
I'm a survivor of Agent Orange. I have 2 leaky heart valves from my exposure. I had a heart attack when I was 59, and
Wow.
I get short of breath fairly easy sometimes. But for umpteen years, the government said that Agent Orange was only sprayed in Vietnam. And it was so toxic that if you could prove you spent 1 day on the ground, you were covered for the 17 diseases that they say it causes.
Wow.
1 day on the ground.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. But then we started to find out, all the veterans organizations started to find out that it was sprayed in a lot of other places.
Yeah. Not just Vietnam.
I met on a one-on-one meeting with Congressman Joe Courtney one day, and I showed him an affidavit from a sailor that had sprayed Agent Orange on Guam for 5 years while he was stationed there
Wow.
on this oil pipeline to keep the weeds off the oil pipeline, so if they needed to work on it, they could work on it. He
Jeez.
sprayed it on that island. That island is 30 miles long by 8 miles wide. So everybody that was on that island
Right.
exposed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I didn't know they use it as a weed killer too.
Oh, that's what
That's
it was
what it was.
designed for.
Oh, really? Okay.
Except they were
I
supposed
thought they
to cut
used
it,
it. Oh,
and they sprayed it full strength.
wow.
yeah.
I thought it was a weapon. I thought it was.
Oh,
used as
no,
a
no.
weapon. I
That
didn't
was,
realize
that was,
Oh, okay.
there are guys, Jerry Wright, good friend of ours. He's down in Tennessee. He has a coffee shop in Tennessee,
Oh,
Veterans
nice.
Coffeehouse in Tennessee. He was a guy on a forward base that they sprayed Agent Orange, And then he went out with the bulldozer and bulldozed all the dead stuff away so they could keep the fire lanes open for, firing when the enemy came. And he would tell you the government said it wouldn't harm you, but they would the bulldozer would bulldoze up dead animals
Oh, geez.
that died from the exposure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad. And
Wow.
and the kids, I call them kids, the young veterans today are exposed to irritants in the air. They were in the oil fields in Iraq and in Iraq, and then they had the burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're now they're 50, and they're getting lung diseases.
Yeah.
So there's always a fight for some sort of health stuff for veterans. It's horrible.
Wow. That's wild. And yeah, it's probably part of the bureaucracy where they don't make the connection.
Yes.
And it's, that's tough. But I'm really glad that there are people out there, fighting for that. And,
Well, that's
making sure you guys get the care you need.
We're in the business of helping veterans. Bruce runs our food share, and I'm going to let you talk. he runs our food share, which started out as a veterans only food share,
Okay.
which then Connecticut Food Bank made us open it up to the general public
Oh, wow.
after 2 years or something.
2 years.
Yeah, but he runs that program. That's another thing that we do.
Yeah.
Started out for veterans only, but now we do it for the public, and he runs that. So I'm gonna have a sip of coffee and let him talk.
Well, just before we go to that, for a veteran out there that needs help, how would they contact?
They can call me.
Okay.
860-428-4299. My phone is always on. I don't care if they call me at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Awesome.
It's always on. They can also, you probably got one of our business cards. I never carry them. I get yelled at all the time.
Yeah.
But my email, my phone, his email is on the business card.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get you in and we'll get you help. If I don't know the answer to your question, I will connect you with somebody that does know the answer.
Very nice.
I'll give you the card and that, and you can even post that if you want something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is probably not
hold on.
to be seen, but yeah, here you go. But I'll take a picture of it, and when I post, in a day or two about, when we go on YouTube and Spotify, I always post that.
If you don't
that'll be one of the
mind,
pictures for sure.
you can post our phone numbers. There's
Not the rest of them on there.
There's other
Okay.
board members on there. I don't want it to go out over the radio.
Oh yeah, okay. There's no phone numbers on the front.
No,
we're good there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just put you guys on.
Yeah,
in the comments and
they
stuff,
probably wouldn't complain, but they're not here to tell you, so don't put theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. No problem. So the food share, is it still called the Veterans Food Share, or?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like Fred said, it started with Tom Pandolfi, who was our first vice president that we had. And he had a lot of connections and managed to get a grant. So it was just for veterans when it first started. Then COVID came, and it was a trailer truck every 2 weeks that Putnam got. A 55-foot trailer would come in Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, we'd unload it.
Wow.
And if you've ever seen inside a 55-foot trailer, that thing was packed.
Yeah. Wow.
We'd unload it, and this was at the Putnam Middle School, and we had it set up where 2 lines of cars would come down. And by the time we started at 9 o'clock, we'd have over 350 cars waiting in line and cars running down. And we'd started at 9 o'clock, and I'd run. Well, I wasn't supposed to be the one running it. It was supposed to be Tom Fred had just had surgery on his foot, so he couldn't walk for 10 weeks.
Oh wow.
And unfortunately, Tom had a stroke that night after
Oh,
the
man.
first one. And he looked at me and said, Bruce, you got the food chair. And when he says, you got to get the volunteers to sign up, I said, well, I never signed up because I wasn't volunteered. I was drafted. But for 2 years, or close to 2 years, every 2 weeks, we would get that trailer truck in. And we'd send 5 cars down one side, 5 cars down the other. We'd have volunteers in the middle, put 2 boxes in every car.
Wow.
And there was one time in the first hour, we put through 300 cars. That's how fast we had them moving through.
Wow.
Since then, we've gone back to our regular one, and we've worked great with Putnam. Matter of fact, when we did this, it was Putnam that asked us to do it. And the mayor, Barney Sine, has been fabulous with us, along with Willie Busquette. Right now, we're doing it at the Putnam Farmers Market the first Thursday of every month. A year and a half, 2 years ago, I go down to Midwest Food Bank and pick up dry supplies that we end up putting in banana boxes. And a year and a half ago, I was making up 100 boxes.
Wow.
And that. Last week, I made up 250 boxes. And everyone went.
Wow.
And I had a woman come back when I come through at the very end. I'll be nice.
They asked me today if you were still wound up about this.
And there was 3 cars coming through, and I had 3 boxes left, and then we were closed. And the first woman demanded getting 2 boxes, and it's like, no, I can't do it. You know, I've got just enough for what I've got, but that's the way it goes.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I never know how many I'm going to have. I get there at 6:15 in the morning at the Putnam Farmers Market, and there are cars already waiting in line.
Oh man.
At 6 o'clock in the morning. They're there. And so for 4 hours, they sat there waiting for everything to come in, because Connecticut Food Share comes in with produce and that we've got to bag up and get ready for the people. So I usually have close to 60 volunteers
Wow.
there every month and that. And it usually takes an hour and a half. Now with the numbers I'm getting, it's closer to 2 hours. And I don't know how well you know Putnam, but it was backed up almost to Pomfret Street where WINY is.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All the way, so for over a mile,
That's like
there were
all of
cars out
Kennedy
on the
Drive,
street.
For those who don't.
I had to
really know.
leave at 11:15 to go over to Modern Lumber to set up. He was still running the food share.
Yeah.
The cars were still backed up to Canal Street.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
But it just shows the need for the food and that.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost, it's heartbreaking,
It is.
It's great that we have folks like yourselves, trying to do what we can, what you can.
Veterans are still volunteering
Yeah.
and that. But our main purpose is to help veterans in that.
Yeah.
You have veterans come in that never talk to anybody else. I was with a guy today. We went to Putnam High School. They had school today. Fred went to Brooklyn. But one of the guys that was in Vietnam said, my wife still won't ask me, and I still won't talk about it.
Ugh.
He says, the only one I can talk about is when we go to the coffee house, and I can talk to other veterans that know what we went through.
Wow.
And that. So it's.
And that applies to the kids.
Yep.
That applies to the young men and women
For
that
sure.
fought in Iraq and Afghanistan too.
Mm.
I have my youngest child was a hospital corpsman in the Navy. At 21 years old, she lost her first patient she was trying to keep alive.
Oh.
I mean, it's heartbreaking.
But you never know what might come across.
Mm.
Last week when I got to the food chair, about 6:30, I had a guy come over and said, "I'm looking for Bruce." I said, "That's me." He said, "I just wanted to meet you and that." He said, "I was down at the new Veterans Park that was just dedicated yesterday
Yeah.
in Putnam." And he says, I put in bricks for my father, my two brothers, and myself." And then he said, "I saw another brick for my brother that was killed in Vietnam." And he said, "I wanted to find out who would spend $100 for my brother." So he went down to the town hall and found out it was
Wow.
myself that had bought the brick for him. But I had gone through 2 years at Turlot and 4 years at Ellis Tech in Tool and Die with him.
Wow.
And I was good friends with him from
Yeah.
the same town, and it's a lot of things. A lot of guys we have that come to the coffee house, you bug them for a year or two. Come on down, and you finally get them to come down. And then next thing you know, they're there before you even get there in the morning. They can't wait for it.
Yeah.
We got one guy I worked on for 2 years, and he said, "I don't really care to." And then he needed have a question asked by the VA, and I said, "Well, you come down tomorrow. We'll have somebody there that can help you." He came, and now he's one of our biggest volunteers.
Yeah.
His brother. So he asked his brother to come, and he says, "It's just a bunch of old men sitting around drinking coffee and that." And he lives down around Old Saybrook.
Oh wow.
He comes all the way up now
Oh, my
every day,
goodness.
picks up his brother, and comes down to the coffee house.
Every Tuesday.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. It really is. There,
Yeah.
there's on a Tuesday morning. There's 100 different stories in that coffee house.
Yeah.
There are men and women there that never left the United States. They raised their right hand,
Yeah.
but the government told them go somewheres. Maybe they were in the Air Force and they ended up in Montana in the missile silos.
Yeah.
And right now the predominant number of veterans there are Vietnam era veterans.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good friend, Glenn Stacy. Everybody in Killingly knows him. He was World War II. He died just short of his 101st birthday.
Wow.
Great guy, but he was the last World War II veteran that we had physically coming to the coffee house. There's maybe a scattering of six, maybe as many as 10 Korean War veterans, but the majority of them are Vietnam era, you know.
Yeah.
And they range, like I say, from guys who never left the United States to guys that spent 13 months slogging through the rice paddies.
Yeah.
But they can sit down and talk. The camaraderie is so strong
Yeah.
that they never. I mean, I pick on everybody.
Yes, he does.
When I'm
Perfect.
when I'm standing at the podium, it doesn't matter whether you were a United States Marine or one of those wussy Air Force guys. I let everybody have it, and they love it.
Yeah.
They love
Oh,
it
yeah.
because they know
Yeah.
I love all of them.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so great.
And but the camaraderie is so strong.
Mm.
There's one table that's one of my favorite tables. There's a guy from Korean War there. He was a United States Marine. He was in boot camp the year before I was born,
Wow. Okay.
and I'm 75.
Wow.
He was in boot camp the year before I was born, and he gives it to me every chance he gets because I'm Navy and he's United States Marine. You
To
know?
him, you're some young whippersnapper.
Yes, exactly it. That's exactly it. But there's an Air Force guy that sits at that table. There's a couple Army guys. There's a couple of Marines. You know.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
they all get along, and they just, it's a place where if something's bothering you,
Yeah.
that's in your past that you did or saw that you're dealing with, there's somebody there that's been and done the same thing, and you can talk to them.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part of why
For
it
sure.
works. You
Yeah.
know?
Talk it out.
Yep.
is
Yep.
True blessing, both of you, for getting this all together and
Well,
making this happen every week.
we're keeping it going. There were some he mentioned Tom Pandolfi. That was one of the initial guys who started it.
Sure.
Tom was a Green Beret in Vietnam, and he had contacts. I'm telling you, like he said, we would sit down for a meeting over at the college because several of us are on the Veterans Advisory at the college.
Mhm.
We would sit down to plan the June stand down I told you about. He would open his briefcase, and if you needed to speak to the United States Congressman so and so, he had a contact
Oh my
for
goodness.
you. You know,
That's
you wanted.
wild.
I mean, you couldn't get to the president through him. Well, you might have
might.
if you pushed hard enough, but you could get to everybody else. He knew everybody. You know.
Wow.
Unfortunately, after his stroke, now he lives in Plymouth, Massachusetts, so we don't
Yeah.
see him. He was down for the dedication of the park the other day,
Oh, okay.
him and his wife, but,
Yeah.
you know, their grandkids live up there.
Right, so
He's in
they-
his early 80s now, and he's,
Yeah.
survived one stroke.
Yeah.
They're up there with the
Yeah, being
grandkids
close
now.
to the family
Yeah,
is
yeah.
definitely a priority. What, if you don't mind me asking, like, I feel like veteran had different classifications at some point. Was it you had to be in a foreign war to become a veteran? Or
Well, no,
was
that's a misnomer.
Okay.
There are veterans organizations. Like I'm a life member of the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Okay.
You had to be a veteran of a foreign war to get in that class
Okay.
or that
Okay.
social group.
Yep.
The American Legion is another one. Okay, and they, even though you didn't have to go to a foreign war, you had to fall into certain time frames to get into the American Legion.
Okay.
They finally
Yeah.
did away with
I
that.
think because we had the American Legion on,
Yep.
and he gave us these challenge coins.
Yep.
And Philip Kiley, if you're out there,
I know.
Actually, he
I
commented.
saw him today at the
okay,
Brooklyn thing.
yeah, he was telling us that, and it's coming back to me now.
Yeah, there's the AMVETS, which any American veteran can join. Okay.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
probably,
That's okay.
probably a half a dozen organizations, but you know,
But as far as the U.S. government is,
if you
concerned,
served,
you
you're a
served, you're a
veteran.
vet.
You
Okay.
get in. You get into even the government.
Let him have it.
I gotta
Let him have
take I gotta take a deep breath. If you belong to the National Guard, they advertise you know for education, help your neighbor and stuff. Well, if you never get deployed by the feds, okay, if you're a Connecticut National Guard,
Yeah.
you can get deployed by the state.
Right.
That doesn't qualify you for federal benefits.
Wow. Even though wow.
You have to be deployed
Yeah.
by the federal government to be considered eligible
Yeah.
for VA benefits with them.
Yeah. That's,
So
yeah.
that's tough. You
That's
know?
jogging my memory. I have a family member that was Army National Guard, I
Yep.
believe, down in line, and he did get called out for Hurricane Sandy and in that era, and
Yeah.
preventing floods and sandbags and stuff like
they
that.
they can get services at the Norwich Vet Center,
Okay.
but they can't get into the actual VA healthcare system. It's like when we were fighting the Agent Orange thing. It's not right,
Right.
but we're stuck with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and we'll have to see. You know,
Yeah.
I won't name any names, but I had a motorcycle club call me up. They had a guy they wanted me to help. They had done a fundraiser for him, and they're friends of ours. They fundraise for us all the time. And this kid had, and he was young in his 20s somewheres, had a child pass away from cancer.
Oh.
His wife left him just before she left him, and he had the child who was dying.
Oh,
He had to stop working to take care of his child, so he was losing his house. So, he was National Guard, never deployed.
Yeah.
oh wow.
So I managed to, through my contacts in the area, I managed to start him on some free counseling, and then I did get him into the vet center, and he's okay today. He's back on his feet, but it's a classic example.
Yeah.
Here I said I'll do whatever I can for the guy, and then I find out he was National Guard, never deployed. You can't get him into the VA.
Wow.
It's, and here's a guy I mean I thought we were going to lose him, but we were lucky. I got a guy who, through his own problems, contemplated suicide at one point in time. Was a counselor today. He took him on carte blanche, pro bono, to
Yeah.
get him started, and then we got him into the VA, not the VA, the Norwich Vet Center stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's you got to finagle around with some
it's-
things,
That's heartbreaking that you have to do
Well,
so much.
But that's why we do the things we do, where we go, where we talk to people, where we
Yeah.
connect with this one, connect with that one, because you never know when you're going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Right. Wow.
You don't.
Man, you guys are still being heroes all this time later.
Well, I don't know about that, but we're struggling. We're helping veterans. We're helping one of my best friends. In fact, the American Legion is going to honor him Thursday night, but he's one of the most knowledgeable VA. He's not a VSO, Veteran Service Officer, but he does all kinds of stuff with that. And his motto is, if you help one veteran today, you had a good day.
Yeah.
So that's the way we look at it. If
Yeah.
you can help one veteran today, and it's not that we, obviously with the food share that Bruce does,
Right.
we're helping the public too.
Yeah.
We see this food insecurity as a real problem for Windham
sure.
County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he was saying with the, when they wait in line for 3 or 4 hours. Well, this past Thursday, we had 2 cars, the batteries died while they were in line.
Wow.
He has the jump starter thing. We go out, we jump start
Oh, my
their cars
goodness.
for 'em. We're prepared for that,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
My goodness.
when you realize he mentioned about the every other Saturday at the height of the pandemic. Now we were giving out of that tractor trailer truck was 1,400 40-pound boxes of food.
Wow.
The volunteers that he had, like a machine.
Yeah.
But the people. One time the truck, I don't remember if it broke down or what.
No, they didn't get a driver, and it,
It
was
was-
coming from New Jersey. It was supposed to be there at 7 o'clock. It got there at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it was so bad that the police department called us because we had all these cars.
Blocking traffic.
They were parked in supermarket parking lots and Cumberland Farms
Oh,
parking
God.
lots.
It wasn't the police that called me.
No,
The police called the mayor, and
Oh,
the mayor
yeah.
called me. And he says, Bruce, I don't care what you do. Do something. Get them cars off the street. But we had
not one volunteer left, right?
the volunteers all stayed, and well, a couple had to leave because they had doctor's appointments
Yeah.
or some other
Yeah.
something else. But we ended up parking them up at Putnam High School, and that just to get them off the streets. But the people needed the food that badly.
For sure.
I mean, they lost the whole Saturday waiting for food, and
But they stayed.
Yeah, they're not faking it at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
this-
when we first started, I can remember veterans coming up to me and saying, "There's a guy in line over there with a BMW. Why are we giving him food?" I said, "It's the pandemic. How do you know he didn't lose his job
Right.
yesterday?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
hey, maybe he had a $600,000 a year job, but he's got a mortgage on his house that he don't have any
Right.
more money at
Oh,
the end
yeah.
of the month than
Yeah.
you have." And yeah, he's driving a BMW, but who knows if he can afford it at the end of the month. But
Right.
I had a woman when we were up at the middle school handing out the boxes. Excuse me. And I had taken a box that I was going to give to somebody I knew couldn't. And it was about 5 after 12. This woman pulls in a BMW and said, "Is it over?" I said, "Yeah, it's all." And she started crying.
Mm.
She was living in that car.
Oh man.
You know, yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
one time I was just at Killingly High School a couple weeks ago. They had a concert and they honored veterans with some pie and stuff beforehand, and I was there. And there was a husband and wife that sat across from me, and they said the husband had lost his job,
yep.
and she said for 4 months the food share was what saved us.
Wow.
You know, so they could pay the electric bill and that. That helped out. But
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
but we keep helping people this way. But our main concern is the veterans.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
That's what we're really there for. We keep he bugs us every week. Some weeks, you know, he says, "I don't have any new veterans here. You guys aren't doing your job." I mean, at the rate it's going, we're going to have to get a room stretcher to get 100 people in there.
Yeah.
But
No, but that's, he's 78. I'm 75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what keeps me alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what keeps me going.
if it doesn't
know.
kill us,
It probably will eventually, but it's the same with the food share. It's the same when I help a veteran or I connect a veteran with something. You can write a check to, I don't care what charity you talk about. You can write a check and throw it in the mail. When 250 vehicles go through the food share,
Right.
and out of that 250 vehicles, over 100 of them, thank you, bless you, I couldn't get by without that. Now you know you're really helping somebody.
Right.
And when some veteran comes to our coffee house and he can't get into the VA system and he's got, like me, leaky heart valves, and we get him hooked up, it's not writing a check. You're looking
Right.
at a human
Yeah.
being that
Yeah.
you're actually helping.
Mhm.
It keeps me going.
Yeah.
I will
Wow.
do this as long as I can stand up. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
there isn't a day that either of us
Oh.
don't do something for the coffee house. you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
The phone rings all the time.
Yeah.
I never shut it off.
I mean, you have a cell phone and you look at it. I don't recognize that number. You know, you say, "I'm not answering it." We don't have that choice.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if our phones ring, we have to answer it because,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
you
we
never
have
know who
100
it
veterans
is.
there every
Yeah.
week, but we've got a lot more than 100 veterans that come. You know, some are there different weeks.
Mm.
You just never know.
Yeah.
That's my schedule. All
Yeah.
the blue and pink dots, that's something for the VA.
You went to a single
Oops.
day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Turkey dinner with Maryland. Don't get that on the radio.
You just did.
Yeah, you're delivering them.
But that's yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm not having family with my kids. I'm delivering turkey dinners for the VFW, for
The Elks.
Elks, Putnam Elks Lodge 574. I'm delivering food for them.
Wow.
We're always doing something. We
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
If it's not for a veteran, it's for something in the community. Like he was saying, he's got to leave here. He's on the board of directors for the local fire department. We're invested in the community.
Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
for
never
sure.
gave up on nothing.
That's amazing.
Yep.
The one thing I always say is every volunteer needs to start an apprenticeship program because especially with your baby boomer generation, there's so many that are so generous with their retirements and their retirement time and everything, and there's so many of you that we need to start taking care of as you guys get older.
We're always looking for
And-
younger veterans.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for 10 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
April, we call it April 15th, but I'm not sure that's the exact date.
Oh, you guys
Yeah, it was
opened on
mid-April.
tax day.
But in April, that's our 10-year anniversary.
Yeah. Wow.
We've been doing this for 10 years. I don't have another 10 years in me for this. I got to find somebody,
Yeah.
so we're working on that all the time.
Yeah, we'll promote as much as we possibly can, and see what we can do. That's I mean, you guys have taken on a lot, and number one, make sure you know that you're appreciated. Sure,
Well,
is
like-
our number one job. And,
Like I was saying before, it's a lot different, and I'm proud to say that we got trashed, not just the people who went overseas, the guys who were in this country when it was really bad. They took abuse day to day because the public hated veterans at that time.
wow.
But when the first Iraqi war veterans came home,
We were there to
in
greet
the
'em.
big
Yeah.
airports, Chicago, Atlanta, they were welcomed home by Vietnam era veterans. We didn't want them to get what we got.
For sure.
So when they came off those planes, we were waiting for them.
Wow.
That's what
awesome.
started it, turned around.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here we are. I'm 75, he's 78. Over half of the men and women who served in Vietnam are gone.
Wow.
Gone. Yeah. My best friend there, 18 months together, died at 51 from Agent Orange.
Wow.
He brought it home with him like I did. You don't know,
Right.
Yeah.
You don't know at the time.
No, there are guys that I know who served 13 months in Vietnam, and somehow their bodies they didn't get it. And then there's other guys that were there, short timers, and I know one guy at the coffee house has got at least 4 different cancers,
Wow.
No.
all attributed to Agent Orange, because he was sprayed with it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk to guys, particularly what they call the brown water sailors, the guys down in the Mekong Delta in the little boats, the 35 and 40, 50-foot little, like the World War II PT boats,
Yeah.
They went up those canals. Well, they sprayed Agent Orange on both sides of those canals. Some of the guys will tell you for 100 yards, there was nothing.
Wow.
That was so they couldn't get ambushed.
Yeah.
Didn't happen everywhere, but can you imagine if you were going up and down that canal and they're spraying it left?
Yeah.
A lot of guys got sprayed really heavy, and a lot of guys hardly got sprayed at all.
Yeah. It's.
I didn't think if somebody had asked me when I first came home, I would have said, "Oh, I never got sprayed. I never saw that stuff." Then I find out that I flew out of Don Muang Air Base. Don Muang. When I flew out of Da Nang in Vietnam, I flew out of Don Muang in Thailand.
Yeah.
Both of those bases were sprayed.
Oh. Wow.
I didn't know that when I
Yeah.
first came home.
Wow.
Every one of those bases in Thailand or Vietnam where they sprayed them all.
Wow.
But my squadron in Thailand, we flew out of Don Muang in Bangkok itself, or Utapao out on the edge of the country, and they sprayed them all.
Yeah. Wow.
So, you don't know that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I was saying in school today, you tell some of these stories and that. But I looked right at the students and I said, if I had to do it over again, I'd do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I do a lot of. I'm speaking to a Wednesday to a school, and I tell the kids pay attention in school, and I tell them the story about what happened to me. I was an aviation electrician.
Yeah.
I was in school in Jacksonville. I hated school all my life.
Yeah.
The Navy sent me to Jacksonville to school. I kept falling asleep in class because I hated it, right? they used to make you stand in the back of the class with 2 5-gallon pails of sand and do a soft shoe every time you fell asleep.
Oh,
my
man.
Well, it didn't work with me. So one day they woke me up and I was transferred to an air crewman's school. That's how I ended up in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Fell asleep too many times in class.
Man.
So, I tell the kids, pay attention.
Right.
And here I joined the Navy to see the world. I grew up in Thompson, got stationed in New London.
Oh, jeez.
So
Yeah, so but that's
Yeah.
that's the story. We have two brothers who come to the coffee house. They were both in the army, both with tanks. One went to Germany, one went to Vietnam. Took years to get the one that went to Germany to come to the coffee house because he thought people would pick on him because he didn't go to the war.
Oh, okay.
Finally got him there. He comes every week now, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of camaraderie there. That's
amazing.
the biggest part about it for these guys
Yeah.
and the women. We don't have very many women, but they still,
we have a couple.
And they're
Yep.
welcome for sure.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome.
If-
I had a 7th grade school teacher who was in the Air Force, and he used to kind of have a little joke like, "Oh, was it my fault that everybody was fighting over here? I was a jet mechanic. They put me on some tropical island to fix the jets." So
When-
he had a different experience.
When my oldest was in 7th grade, maybe 8th grade, I don't remember anymore. But she came home from school one day and she said to Dad, you have to come to school tomorrow. I said, what'd you do now? I got to go to school. What'd you do now? She tells me we're studying the Vietnam War.
Oh,
Yeah.
my.
And I can get extra credit if you come to school. So I looked at her. I said, isn't your good friend, what's her name? Isn't she Vietnamese? She goes, yeah. I go, what side did her father fight on? I need to know that before I go to school.
Oh,
I'm teasing
man.
her.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you imagine that? She tells me we're studying the Vietnam War. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot of things come full circle, and just America's still a melting pot of just every different type of person and nationality. So
Yep,
it's
yep.
you
And trust me, when they used to say there's no atheists in foxholes. Well, I don't care what race, color, creed, religion. If the guy standing next to you when the proverbial, hits the fan, if he sticks with you and backs your back, you don't care where he's from,
Right.
or who he is, or what his skin color is,
Yeah.
or what his political leanings are. None of that matters.
that's a new one people are fighting over.
Oh, geez. Yeah, well,
Like,
but
Yeah.
that's why, like I say, veterans stick together.
for sure.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do, and they help each other.
Yeah, that's great.
Last week at the coffee house, we had a guy that had just graduated from Marine boot camp that came, and that he ended up going back to Camp Lejeune today, but he went to Putnam High School, and there was another one there today at Putnam High School that just graduated the class after him.
Yep.
So he was there today, and it's good to see these kids,
Yeah.
They are.
still holding up the tradition. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what.
yeah.
And when you come down to it, less than 1% of the people in this country served.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and I heard that statistic. Actually, at a boot camp graduation. So.
Yep.
wow.
Yeah, it's amazing, and a sad thing from my perspective, a sad thing is you look in the United States Congress now, how many are veterans? Not many.
Not many, huh?
After World War II and after Korea, a lot of them were veterans, and they did things for the country. They did things for veterans. They did things for the country.
Yeah.
Now, not so much. We have to fight, and I'm sure that older veterans would say they had to fight for everything. It's true, they don't want to spend the money for a lot of stuff, but
Mm.
it's a shame that not so many veterans are now involved in the Congress and the House and the Senate and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's tough to not be represented.
Yeah.
When it comes down to that stuff. I I don't like to get political here. I feel like a large portion of groups and people are not represented at our own government in that way.
Well, we're not allowed to talk about, believe it or not, as a 501c3.
Okay.
We can lose if they found out we were politicalizing our group,
Gotcha.
we could
Yeah.
lose our 501c3.
Yeah.
So it's always been in the coffee house. You don't talk politics. You don't talk religion.
Yeah.
The chaplain we have, God bless him, he's a great chaplain. But I said to him when he took the job, he's a Christian. I have nothing against Christians. But
Yeah.
I said to him, you have to watch what you say
Right.
because there are Hebrews here.
Mm.
There are Muslims here.
Yeah.
There are non-believers in anything here.
Yeah.
I made him, he ends his prayer, in your name we pray. He doesn't say in Jesus Christ's name because some of the people don't believe in Jesus Christ in that
Right.
room, and I don't
Yeah.
want him to, I want him to be the chaplain for everybody. And
Right.
he accepts that. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to offend anybody,
For sure. Yeah.
And he's so dedicated, He reaches out to everybody,
Yeah.
That's another thing that the coffee house does that we didn't mention. He takes veterans to like Matchelitis Nursing Home once a month to minister to the veterans that can't come out of there, the ones that are living in a
okay.
nursing home.
Yeah.
He does the same thing to what's
Davis Place.
Davis Place
Place, yeah.
in Danielson, because some of these veterans they're stuck there.
Yeah. They can't get.
Eh,
out.
you
We
know.
had a case. It was before COVID. We were going to Davis Place, and there was a guy there that had no family around here at all.
Mm-hmm.
So we're the only ones that came to see him.
Yep.
And that his closest relative lived in Georgia. He was a nephew, and that, and he passed away just around COVID time. And it was a Massachusetts funeral home
Yeah.
that had it. So he contacted me, and I told him, I says, he was cremated in that. And he says, we don't know when the funeral's going to be. And that I said, I need you to let me know so we can get some guys together and at least have some guys there.
Mm.
Well, we got the word out. We had channel 30 out. We had almost every fire department in Thompson there.
Wow.
We had way over 100 people there for his funeral. We weren't going to let a veteran just be buried by himself.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing.
One of my favorite veterans who passed away several years ago was in his 90s when he passed away. He was on a destroyer that shelled Omaha Beach on D-Day.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
And then when he went to the Pacific, because he fought the whole war, when he went to the Pacific, his destroyer was hit by 3 or 4 kamikazes, and he was a gunner, and he got blown up, burned, and everything. Great old guy. Well, I just bought a wreath.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wreaths across America.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
in December.
Yeah.
I don't know if there'll be a wreath on his grave, but there will be now because I'll put it there.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we've had them on. They're an amazing group.
Oh,
They are.
Pat,
They're-
was it Patty George?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Did
yeah.
she get into her father? she talk about him?
Yeah, she talked about him.
My
Yeah.
God, he
Yeah.
was a member of the coffee house.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he was a member of the coffee house.
Yeah.
Helicopter guy, you know.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Really dedicated group.
they are.
And they do so much more than just put wreaths on.
Yeah.
there.
Oh, I know, but I'm
cool.
I'm speaking on December 14th in the town of Pomfret about wreaths across America and veterans in general. And when I finish that, I will be racing down to Killingly to help her put out wreaths. You know,
Nice.
I'll do the one that's for my friend. I'll do that a day or two ahead of time, so I don't have to worry about getting it done on the 14th. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big deal. You know,
For sure. Yeah.
the saying is that you're not really gone
Mm,
if somebody remembers you and says your name.
right.
So I don't know if she mentioned when you put a wreath on a service member's grave, you're supposed to say that person's name
Yeah.
so that their memory stays alive. Yeah, she's dedicated. Oh my God, yeah. They're doing something like 1,400 wreaths or something
Yeah,
this year.
it was a lot.
Amazing
Yeah.
number.
A lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, she talked about the logistics and the driver and everybody and how they make it all work and
Yep.
how everything gets recycled afterwards too when
Yeah.
when they pick them up and stuff. So it's
And I'll throw a plug out for the Elks because Danielson Elks Lodge 1706 is a big sponsor with her on that.
yeah,
you know.
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, they there's good people.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a big
that's-
community.
Well,
and-
you have to stop. You know, there's so much evil and bad stuff in the world today. If you don't stop every once in a while and think about something like that, think
yeah,
about the people that you know that are good people, that are helping people. You know, these food banks, the Friends of
Just
Azizi, you know.
Yeah.
She's been doing that. I've lived in this town, Killingly, 35 years now. She was doing that. How long now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Those
been a
kind of
long
people
time.
are what keeps the world going.
for sure.
know?
Yeah,
And you gotta acknowledge them. You gotta say good job. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot is just the area we live in. Everybody tries to help somebody else in that. And, they call us the quiet corner up here in Northeast Connecticut. But we have another name. It's the forgotten corner of the
Ah.
state.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it's like we do we have a scholarship program that we run for. If you're a veteran that just got out of the service, you can apply for a scholarship. If you're a grandpa, you can apply for a scholarship for your grandkids. If you're your age, you could apply for a scholarship for your child.
Okay.
Okay, but I made this from day one when we started it. You have to live in Windham County. I'm not giving a scholarship to some rich kid down in Fairfield County. It's not happening. These kids up here need help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to live in Windham County to
Yeah.
get our scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
And I know that Post 21 was here.
Yeah.
They have a scholarship. I don't know what their rules
That was
are.
his main talking points. And,
Yeah.
And anyone that needs that, just get in contact with Philip Kiley at the American
Yeah,
Legion.
yeah.
They
I
have
help-
Facebook, so.
I helped Philip audit their books.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on their executive committee.
Oh, nice.
we got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I have about 75 different hats to wear sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he said, most weeks if I'm not actively doing something for the coffee house, I'm on the computer. I start every morning. I get up at 6. I turn on I make a cup of coffee first.
Yep, for sure.
and then I start my computer because during the night I got emails I got to address,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Then there's the phone calls. Not a day goes by that I didn't do something for the coffee house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, That's amazing. Love how dedicated and how passionate you guys are. It's just
Well, and it's not just him and I.
right.
I mean,
The whole team.
we have a board of directors. They're wonderful. Your aunts that volunteer. You know, if we didn't have the volunteers that we have, we'd be struggling horribly.
Oh,
You
for
wouldn't be able
sure.
to pull it off. You wouldn't have the breakfast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're doing a breakfast. I can't talk about the breakfast tomorrow, other than it's going to be a good breakfast. It's going to be steaks.
Ooh.
But we're having a special program that I can't.
It's a company that comes in if if a veteran has a problem. They've put up a couple ramps for guys that have ended up losing their legs. They need a ramp to their house.
Oh, okay.
They'll come in and do it. We have another veteran that only has one leg. They came in and cleaned his gutters
Oh, okay.
for nothing.
So it's like a handyman carpentry
and-
service.
And a whole bunch. So they help.
Yeah,
They want to help veterans.
That's
and
amazing.
and they're coming tomorrow for a special program for the veterans at the coffee house. But when we first started to deal with them, I'm skeptical.
Yeah.
So when we first started to deal with them, I started asking a lot of questions. I wanted to know exactly what they were offering. And at one point, the Jason, that is my contact there, I said to him, "Well, most of our veterans are our age. They're old, you know." I said, "What if they got a major project?" I said, "What if like somebody needs their house painted? They can't do that, you know." He looked me right in the eye and he said, "If we don't have the expertise, we will hire somebody to do it
Wow.
for you." That's how dedicated they are.
Wow.
And it's a family-run business. Their mother gave every spare nickel she had to some veterans organization, and they all grew up under her tutelage. And
Yeah.
when she died, they started this family organization in her memory
Oh,
to
wow.
help
Wow.
veterans.
And is it a contracting business? Is it like or
They live in Rhode Island, and they do some work, but it's mostly
They have
ju-
jobs besides.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
you know,
So-
if they take on a project, you know, you can't say they'll be there tomorrow, but they will get it done, you know.
Yeah.
And Bruce talked about the ramps. The first one we got was a long ramp, and we had to take it down because the veteran passed away. The family wanted to sell the house, you know, so
Mhm.
they stored it for us.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And then when we found somebody that needed it,
They
they
brought
took
it
it out of storage and put it on the person's house.
Wow.
Yep.
That's-
You know.
There are just so many amazing people out in this area.
Yeah, and if any veteran out there is listening, it's ABBA's Army, ABBA apostrophe S, ABBA's Army. And if you could need help with them, let me know.
Wow.
Yeah.
You want to give out your phone number again? Just
My
for
phone
people
number
tuning
is
in.
860-428-4299. And trust me, you know, I may not answer it every time because I got a life besides this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I'm busy with my grandkid or my family. But if you leave me a message, you'll get called back.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That's-
Thank
we're
you
in-
so much. And shout out to ABBA's Army, man.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful thing.
There's all kinds of stuff. That's why I say there are beautiful people in this world. You know, you can get depressed thinking about politics. You can
Yeah.
get depressed
Yeah.
thinking about politics. You can get depressed about all kinds of things, but there are wonderful people out there. And we work with them. You know, the food share, you should see the stuff he gets from organizations, you know,
Yeah.
that just
We've got one coming up a week from Saturday, November 23rd.
Yeah.
Hometown Foundation
Okay.
contacted us. And I'll be going down that morning to New Haven, picking up 300 turkeys.
Wow.
Out of the 300, 200 will be giving away in Putnam. Others are going to American Legion, VFWs, and like that for their programs. But I'll be giving out 200 programs at the Putnam Farmers Market starting around between 12 and 1.
Yeah.
So I have to go to New Haven, pick up it. Besides the turkeys, they're giving me 192 cans of corn, 192 cans of green beans. I've got some green beans left over from what I got from Midwest Food Bank. So everybody will be getting 2 cans of green beans. The coffee house is going to end up buying 200 boxes of stuffing so we can put it in. And your aunt last week went down to Ocean State Job Lot, and they are going to give us 200 either cans or jars of gravy. So we're going to have a meal for somebody to cook up.
And they're getting
Yeah.
they're getting a 5-pound bag of potatoes as well.
Right.
Wow.
So it's a whole
The whole meal's
Thanksgiving
there.
dinner.
You just got to cook it.
Yeah.
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 So this is, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
when we're down there at the farmer's market or whatever, he wears a red baseball cap. I'm the president of the coffee house. If somebody comes over and asks me something, I just point to him. Don't even expect me to interfere in anything because he runs it so well, and
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. My mother didn't raise stupid kids, you know. I don't get in his way.
They told me I had to wear the red hat because when there's 50, 60 volunteers,
Yeah.
they just look for the red hat because I'm the one that's going to answer the question.
The
Yeah.
woman came, I don't know what she was, from Midwest Food Bank, some director of something.
Oh, last week it's
Yeah.
a brand new director.
Yeah.
And
So he tells her that he's too busy at that thing, so she's stuck with me if she's got any questions, you know.
oh, I have to run it.
Yeah, he doesn't have time to talk. He's too busy, you know. And he doesn't brag enough. He told you earlier, sometimes you can almost see the end of the line from the radio station.
Yeah.
So as some items are going out, he has to keep looking to see if he can see the end of the line yet, because do I got to cut back on how many of this I'm handing out? Or is the line ending and should I put more of this so we get it all out, you know? And then he doesn't mention that not only does he give out the food there, he provides food. The Elks run a Saturday. We run it the first Thursday, our food share. They run one the first Saturday right after ours. He gets them stuff. He doesn't mention that over at the college, every college in this state has to have a veterans oasis. He provides water and beverages and snacks to the oasis at QVCC. And then if he has anything else left over, it goes to an outfit called Weekend Warriors in Thompson, who takes care of the elderly housing in Thompson.
Wow.
He doesn't brag enough. That's my job. He is a machine,
Yeah.
and he loves it. He lives and breathes it,
Wow.
and he provides for people.
Yeah.
I am going to have to leave now because I have
Yeah.
another meeting at
Does it sit on
7
your
o'clock,
board? Yeah.
and it's 6 o'clock now. So,
6 o'clock now.
but
Is
thank
it-
you for
Hey,
having me.
Yeah.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much. Our honor to have you here. You guys are always welcome here. Any other events you need us to ever plug, you have my number.
Yeah. Well, like
we'll-
I
we'll
told
get
you,
it on
I think
the
I
commercial.
don't know if we'll actually come on the air, but we will have you run some announcements.
Sure.
Like
Sure.
we do a big fundraiser at the bartenders night at the Crossings
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah. Celebrity
That's
bartender.
a big
Yeah.
fundraiser for us. We raise $6,000-7,000 every time
Yeah.
we do it.
Those are
so-
a hit.
Yes,
I think people like to drink.
Look, no comment. But I would use you for advertisement for
Sure,
that.
sure.
The stand down in June over at the college, I would use you guys to get the word out about that. I would have been doing that for a while now if I knew about this. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the more people you can.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Bruce.
I might be right behind you. They'll probably throw me out.
Never.
You're good.
You're good.
Yeah,
You're good.
Yeah, you know.
That one's just on me. I'm not talking.
Yeah, he's not as important.
Thank you.
The more we get information out, the better it is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's an uphill battle. You know, we're not a wealthy organization. We're not poor. We're much better off than we were when we started and stuff
sure.
like that.
Yeah.
But any money we can save by getting free advertising, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary Osprey is on my speed dial.
Yeah,
you know.
he's amazing.
He was.
Gary.
Bruce was mentioning earlier. He's going up there to talk about the turkeys. You know.
Yeah.
He does a lot for us for
For sure,
advertising
yeah.
and talking about stuff and things like that. So.
Yeah, Gary and his wife are just salt of the earth.
Well, they're a big part of the Putnam community.
for
Oh,
sure.
huge.
Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah.
You got any more questions about
I
anything?
mean, you've kind of blown my mind with how much you've shared with us and how much you guys do for the community, the veteran community, everybody involved, and you know, I just hope that this gets the word out of
Yeah.
you know the
We're very proud of the coffee house.
yeah
You will have a hard time unless you go to a national convention. You will have a hard time finding 100 veterans in a room.
Yeah.
wow
You know.
yeah
It's, most organizations, they get 20, 30. Even the other coffee houses that are in Connecticut don't get 100. Some of them get 10.
yeah
Some of them get 30 or 40, you know. We just, for whatever reason, everything connects well at ours, you know.
yeah
The volunteers we talked about, your
Yeah.
relatives, the women that help out. From day one that the coffee house started when we were on Broad Street, when a veteran came in, somebody welcomed him.
Mm.
Somebody got him a cup of coffee, told him, here, sit down over here, have a donut, have this, you know. We didn't serve hot breakfast then. We had pastry and stuff. We were just
Yeah.
getting financially started, you
right
Yeah.
right yeah.
which is a whole nother story.
Oh yeah yeah
When we started, there was a man, a veteran, who worked for the Thames Valley, what is it, TVCCA, Thames Valley Council for Community Action, whatever.
okay
He was working for them, and so they funded us to get us started.
Oh,
okay
nice.
that's great
And they wouldn't let us fundraise for ourselves. So we had a couple of groups that fundraised for us. And one day came that they had a check for us for $3,500.
Wow.
And we wanted to put it aside that if a veteran ran through all of the normal channels and still needed money, we might be able to help him or her.
yeah
And we got in a big fight with them over the money.
oh wow
So one day, a bunch of us just decided we've had enough of this, and I got elected to be the president. So we told them we're leaving.
yeah
They said, you can't do that. I said, what do you mean we can't do that? We're leaving, you know? And so they tried to tell us that, well, you can leave, but, you know, we're going to hold on to the money. I'm like, no.
yeah
I said, when I leave here, I said, I'm going to go to the newspaper, the radio, wherever I can go, and I'm going to say that people gave money, they thought, to the veterans.
right
Yeah.
yeah
But
it's got to be allocated
you're
to the
gonna keep
veterans.
it?
yeah
I said, can I say your name when I talk? You're keeping it, you know? They gave us the money. And that first year, we were on our own.
yeah
So we went to the town of Killingly, and we said, will you act as a fiduciary for 1 year? And we entered into an agreement with them.
yeah
While we're actually a corporation. We are the Danielson Veterans Coffeehouse, Inc., and we're a 501c3. But we had to arrange all of that,
Yeah.
and we couldn't do that because we needed somebody to hold our money.
yeah
Oh, yeah.
So the town of Killingly did that for us, At the time, the guy who was the town manager was a veteran. He said, "Oh yeah, we'll do that." You know?
Yeah.
So that's how we actually got rolling and became the corporation and the 501c3.
Right. Yeah, I find a lot of the groups when they're more independent and less overhead, where more of the donations go to the cause
Yeah.
than anything else. I think that's the ones that really thrive more.
Well, that's like I said, we have money invested. That's for our scholarship program.
Yeah.
We have money that's sent for other things. We try to run something quarterly where the veterans can bring in their spouse. We'll have a
okay.
steak supper.
Yeah.
We have a big picnic in the summer up at the dam there.
In the pavilion.
Up there at the
Thompson Dam.
Yeah, Thompson
Yep.
Dam, West Thompson Dam. So we have a big summer picnic up there.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of money goes out for those kinds of things. But by getting the wives or girlfriends or husbands, whatever, involved, it makes it easier for us to keep the veterans coming as well.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's great if you can get their family members to understand, the real reason to go
Yeah.
there, the camaraderie,
Yeah, and
You
they
know,
and they see they see them at these events with other veterans,
and
in
it's
it.
healing things for them. Hopefully.
Yes,
you know.
yeah, oh yeah, and I didn't mention also we're a collection agency for Toys for Tots.
Oh, okay.
So we just started that a year ago too.
Yeah.
So we're the coffee house is involved in so much stuff. Some days I got to try to drag it all out of my memory.
Yeah. The you have very far reach, and it's kind of like the wreaths across America. I mean, the group just has their fingers in so many things to
Yeah.
help,
Yeah.
so many other avenues and paths where they help out.
Yeah.
And it's not just wreaths, and you're not just a coffee house
Yeah.
with that one
Well,
Tuesday.
and-
It's
no.
so many more things.
And-
It's
and,
so amazing.
Patty had a big event over the winter. Had a magician there and all that. It was at what is it, Grill 37 in Pomfret.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of veterans from the coffee house. We go, it's
Yeah.
all intermingled because
Right. Yeah.
sometimes Patty needs something that we can do. Sometimes we need something she can do. We try to stay close with the VFW, the American Legion, because you're all in the business of helping veterans, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
It's like the park that just got rededicated.
Yeah.
On that committee, Rob Challenor was the chairman.
Yeah.
He runs, or he's a big, he doesn't run, he's not the commander, but he's big in the Putnam VFW. They had representatives from the American Legion there. Alan Jocelyn represented the Danielson Veterans Coffeehouse on that committee that did over the park,
Mm-hmm.
and they did a fabulous job up there. Oh my God, that's the most beautiful veterans park probably in the state now,
Wow. Yeah.
And they put in, they started before the pandemic, and then of course everything ground to a halt for a period of time.
Yeah.
But again, they got Ellis Tech to put in the stones, got Ellis Tech to do the electrical.
Oh, that's awesome.
All kind of businesses contributed funding to. The mayor said that at the rededication, the mayor said they fundraised $300,000 for that
Holy
park.
moly.
Wow.
The town didn't pay for that.
Wow.
The Veterans Committee raised that money,
Wow.
and they did that.
Yeah.
So you got to give those guys credit. Again, they're veterans. They're trying to help other veterans. You don't know what it's like for some of these older veterans to walk over there and see their stone down there.
Sure.
And some of them have. I know a guy that in the Air Force, his stone is there, and his kid's stone is next to his. Tom Pandolfi that we were talking about, the Green Beret. his son's an Army Ranger.
Wow.
Their stones are side by side in there, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal for a veteran.
For
you know?
sure. Yeah. That's awesome. That's so cool. And bring it back like a shout out to Modern Lumber
Yep.
who had their their ribbon cutting because it's a new ownership. It's Modern Lumber and Piping now.
Yep.
And it's family owned and operated.
Yep.
And for their they had a big pig roast for their grand opening and
right.
ribbon cutting, and they had a 50-50 where the proceeds went to Veterans Coffee House,
Right.
and then
I got to go up there tomorrow after the coffee house and finagle all that out with them.
they had open bar, and the tip jar went to the veterans,
Yep.
and then they had another raffle. It was like a silent auction for a bunch of tools. It was like over $700 worth of tools that you could bid on, and all that money was going to the Danielson Veterans Coffeehouse. So, and if you're another local business like that wants to do something like that or sponsor
Yep.
the Danielson Veterans Coffeehouse, Tuesday breakfasts,
Yep.
you just got to reach out to President Fred Ruhlemann, 860-428-4299.
That's
right?
me. And
So,
the other thing neither Bruce nor I mentioned is we belong to the Putnam Business Association.
oh, beautiful.
The monthly meeting, Bruce goes to the regular monthly meeting, and I'm on their membership committee.
Yeah.
So I go on one meeting a month, and he goes to another one. So that's how we keep the connections with a lot of these business people. you know?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I said. Sometimes there's 75 hats I got to change
Yeah.
in a month. Yeah.
But it keeps you busy, keeps you young, right? And,
Yeah, well, that's it.
And it keeps other veterans just, keeping along. So, bringing so much joy and camaraderie to,
We'll do this.
that.
We'll do this as long as we can.
sure.
And I'm hoping that when he and I and the other, one board member is 80. One board member, I think, just turned 78. Bruce is 78. I'm 75. We got one board member that's probably right around 60. He's the youngest one. But, we need to get some young people
Yeah.
that we're hoping eventually will replace us, because Bruce at 78, the food share program he does, he's not going to be doing that in 10 more years.
Right.
Yeah.
Needs somebody else to fill in. So
Right.
we're working on that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always one of the big hurdles when you start and get to be a successfully run organization like that. And then there's so many people that'll volunteer that just do it. They just do this, they just do that. And one thing I would encourage is definitely to write down your role.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I
other
know.
people can read it and understand
Yeah.
what the job entails and stuff like that.
So anyway, I'm going to get out of here now.
Sure.
6:15.
Well-
You guys probably got stuff you want to do.
This is early for us. We usually don't even start till 6. So thank you so much for coming on. And for you and everybody out there, have a happy, safe Veterans Day. And, I can't say enough about the service you guys do for the community and for everybody out here.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah. And like I said, anytime, you're
All
always
right.
welcome here at the bench. Thanks for watching, everyone. Join us again tomorrow. We're having a doubleheader. Tomorrow is our 1-year anniversary, and we're just going to do a special with me and Kyle here. Just mostly ad-libbing, I guess.
Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. See where the night takes us. And then Monday on our regularly scheduled November 18, back at 6 o'clock, we'll have Tommy Toy Fund here for
Cool.
to have them on and see what their latest fundraising is and whatnot. So anyway, thanks for watching. Always remember to buy local, hire local, dine local, volunteer local, and donate local. Have great days.